Today's studio guest is Sean Wall, Senior R&D Director and Site Leader at one of Ireland's leading medtech research facilities, which is BD's Research Centre in Limerick. So welcome, Sean, and we always kind of like to start off on the kind of the human side and ask you a little bit about your journey to here. What got you to here?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. What got me to here, I guess growing up I was always someone who loved to do things with my hands, make things, and I also had a keen interest in biology and medicine. But my parents are kind of in a medical background, and I also kind of spent an awful lot of my time on a farm as a child, right? So I kind of had a little bit of animals and I guess it was my kind of grounding, right? And then as I was going through school, I thought to myself that maybe the best thing to do was take a broad approach and do mechanical engineering. But I always had biology in my mind, right? So I kind of sought ways to try and get into bioengineering. And then I guess more specifically, when I was in third year, my father had a heart attack, and he had coronary angioplasty done, he had a coronary stent put in place. So if ever there was a kind of an impetus for me to change focus, I started thinking about, okay, how can I really get into bioengineering and go after that? So I did that. I got into a master's in bioengineering, and my first job out of college was in a company that made angioplasty balloons and stents. So when you look back, it's pretty much, it was lined up almost, right?
Wow.
So yeah, interesting how I got into medical devices from that sense.
Incredible. And then just, for people who don't know, BD, tell us a little bit about the organisation.
Yeah. So BD is a major medtech company. It's over 125 years old. There's well over 77,000 people working in BD globally. The thing that always baffles me is the numbers, right? So they make over 37 billion products every year and over 190 companies, right? So, and its products are massively diverse, right? So even in Research Centre Ireland, where we work in Limerick, we work with pretty much all of the different BD business units. So you've got products from minimally invasive medical devices through to, life science equipment that's fully automated, goes into laboratories, and medication management solutions. So it's just a snapshot of the breadth of technologies that BD offers worldwide. So it's pretty cool.
Amazing. And how does the Irish operation fit in then? And tell us a little bit about the operation in Ireland within BD globally.
Yeah, so Research Centre Ireland is part of a centralised team, right? So it's considered a centre of excellence. And really what we have is we support the breadth of R&D projects and products in their portfolio, in their R&D life cycle. So from, say, something that's a concept right through to launch, or even we do a lot of work in post-launch activities, keeping products on the market and sustaining them. In Research Centre Ireland, we have a ton of different skill sets across a vast array of disciplines, from software, life sciences, technology, engineering. So we have a lot of diverse talent there. And then also, because we're such a research centre, we also complement that then with a lot of different functions, from quality, regulatory, medical and clinical affairs, and then some likes of human resources and finance. So RCI is a really vibrant and diverse site, a lot of different things going on. We're close to 400 people in RCI as well, right? And from a nationality perspective, we're well over 43 nationalities. So you think about the level of talent and diversity that brings, it's a pretty cool place.
And I'm going to come back to that a little, but just before I do, your site lead there, you're talking about 400 people. But tell us a little bit about your idea of what leadership should look like. Whatever about what kind of a leader you are yourself. In your mind, what should a leader be?
So I guess a term that we use a lot in terms of leadership is servant leadership. So it's really being that sort of leader who is willing to step back and be conscious and provide opportunities for your teams to step in and really take on challenges where your job is really to try and remove obstacles and provide those opportunities. And I think a lot of that, for me personally, would come to having a reasonable level of self-awareness and understanding what your personality traits might be as a leader might not suit your teams, and having an awareness perspective that maybe if you lead with a lot of enthusiasm, or you can be quite abrupt and decisive, that sometimes can be overpowering for other people who have really strong leadership traits. But it's just having that kind of awareness of knowing when to step back or catch yourself and provide opportunities for others.
I like it. And you were talking about the convergence really between life sciences and technology, given the kind of people you have working there at the RCI. But, if you're looking at areas like, you have to talk about it, everybody talks about it, AI and generative AI, how is that affecting what you're doing? Is it good, bad, indifferent? Is it exciting? Is it challenging?
It's exciting, it's challenging. I think the honest answer is we're probably like a lot of our industry peers trying to understand what it is, how do we use it, how does it affect how we work. I think there's a real practical thing with AI at the moment. There's a lot of podcasts, materials, talks about the use of AI in medicine. So our customers, our clinicians and doctors, nurses that we're working with are talking about using AI in healthcare and how that's changing how they operate, how they even write up case notes, how it's changing treatment algorithms. So part of AI is when you hear that, how are we going to be at the table to bring products that are meaningful? We're looking at it in a couple of different ways, but we're still trying to explore what it means for us. So practically, we can think about people in software that we have in RCI, thinking about how does AI help them in generating code to developers? Does it change our test practices? Or even if you think about life sciences in a lab, working on cells or thinking about doing validation runs, can they take some of the, one for a better word, administration work out of it by using AI to write protocols so they can spend their best time analyzing data, right? So there's some real practical things we look at. And then also, I think about the products that we develop, it's making sure that we can understand how we can adopt the likes of AI and machine learning to generate data and analyze data on our products. Because kind of what I said earlier, it's that data that might help change how we treat a disease or how we react to how our products are used, or even more practically, understanding the nature of our products in the field and how we might change how we service them, right? So it's trying to understand how we can use it and tap into that.
Yeah, and I mean, you implied it there, but I mean, that idea of it's not that you replace somebody with AI, you free them up to do more analysis and less mundanity, I suppose, in a way. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, there's definitely a portion of that, but also it's much more than that too, because that's the challenge, is trying to understand what place it has.
Yeah.
So if it can help us operate more efficiently and get people critical thinking on elements by taking out some of those, there's absolutely a benefit in that. But I think more broadly, it's also what the expectations of our customers have with the products that you're offering, that you're providing a solution that's going to add extra value to them, right? So it's trying to understand where it fits and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you don't mind, if we can talk a little bit about, particularly in the area of medtech and medical devices, I presume regulation and compliance has got to be a major challenge and a major issue for your sector.
In medtech industry, in the last number of years, the regulations that we have to meet to keep our products in the market as well, develop products, have changed. The bar is much higher. So us, like a lot of our medical peers, our companies, would be kind of grappling with ensuring that products meet state of the art. We're consuming an awful lot of brain power, resources, testing to try and meet new standards, particularly in Europe. So with the medical device regulations as well as in vitro diagnostic regulations, that it's a high bar to meet. And what that practically means, if you don't, you risk disruption to supply. You can't get products to healthcare. But yeah, it's a significant burden. And I think the challenge with that is you're putting a lot of resources into that, but you also need to grow, right? So you think about operating efficiently, making the best use of your resources across the globe to ensure that you're able to keep things up to standard while also continuing to grow. It's trying to get that balance. I think that's probably the challenge that a lot of our industry peers like us are facing right now.
Yeah. And the area, again, that you often think you hear leaders talking about a lot is sustainability. Is that something that is a big deal for BD?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, sustainability across a number of different facets. So there are a lot of materials that we use in our products, like a lot of our competitors and peers use as well, that are no longer acceptable for use. And it's not just an implantable material, for example, that might go into a patient's body. It could be a general all-purpose material, but for various different reasons, they're materials of concern, what they call them. So there are, similar to medical device remediation, it's how do you keep your products in the market that don't have these materials, so you're trying to replace them. But sustainability also is looking at how you bring products to the market that are recyclable, reusable, that they're being manufactured with sustainable methods. You think about sterilization technologies, for example. Like, we're doing a lot of focus on making sure that the manufacturing process, the sterilization process we use are in themselves sustainable. And again, the market's shifting. So we work with a lot of major hospital institutions, and if we sold a product or had a tender yesterday and we turn up today and they say, you've got this material in your product, we can't accept this. So the challenge with sustainability is making sure that you're touching multiple areas of it, but also the sands have shifted pretty quickly. The expectations have changed. So it's not one area of focus. There's many different facets to sustainability, and it's making sure that we're kind of keeping abreast of all those and trying to not just get ahead, just kind of come up to standard.
I can imagine. Tell me, just moving to technology again as well, security and cybersecurity, I'm assuming that's a major issue as well when you're talking about, medical devices of any kind.
Yeah.
So, but tell us a little bit about how it affects you in that kind of sector.
Yeah, so in Research Centre Ireland, actually, we have a dedicated product security team. And their role is to look at product lifecycle management and cybersecurity as part of that. So we would have teams, and this isn't my strong suit, but we would have teams who their sole focus is analysing legacy products, software, understanding what risks they have from a cybersecurity perspective, putting together various different risk and severity scores to make sure we're tackling the right products, doing the right penetration testing, patch releases, trying to ensure that we're minimising our risk as much as possible, or potentially fast forwarding end of life cycle to bring on something new. So we've dedicated a team for that. And I think part of what we have in RCI is, as a central team, we also have software developers and testers in the same building who are working together on products. So when we have people on the cybersecurity sense analysing legacy products, naturally sharing those learnings, best practices with the software developers is starting to think differently about how we're developing. So yeah, there's a lot of focus on it, and RCI in particular is a main hub for our cybersecurity assessments and in the organisation.
Very good. And I mean, you touched on it there, but I mean the breadth of talent that is required in something like RCI. Tell me a little bit about that, and the kind of initiatives that you carry out in order to get the talent in. You're based out of Limerick,
Yep.
The RCI particularly.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to get the best people.
Yeah, well, I think it's always important when you're trying to hire talent that you're looking for a broader range of skills and from diverse backgrounds. I think probably like a lot of our peers, we try and partner with the right recruitment companies, right, to make sure that we can access talent locally, as well as knowing for specific skill sets, what regions, what countries we want to tap into. But we also use our own associates, our own people to understand what networks, what industries they've come from, as well as looking at a lot of access to talent coming through universities. So we have a lot of focus, and the idea are very good at making connections with specific research areas or universities that we may not have already uncovered to say, tap in there and see what way you can attract talent. I think additionally, I'd say BD is a fantastic culture in Ireland, right, across the different sites. And what we find is that our associates lead a lot of initiatives, right, focusing on STEM, accessing and bringing medical technologies to students at all ages. And we support a lot of different charities. And why I bring that up is that informs a certain type of culture, right? So when we think about our people leaders who are going out looking for talent, it's one thing to have the right processes and places to go to look for it, but in terms of how we interview people, how we're trying to attract people, skills and competencies, of course, we're looking for. But when you think about inclusion and we think about our culture, that's kind of what we like to think. Those questions now are people leaders have in their mind, and that's what they're looking for.
So we spoke a little bit about, BD in Limerick and the amazing work that's going on there, but BD is elsewhere in Ireland, am I right?
Yes, of course. There's 4 sites of BD in Ireland. So we've got Limerick, as we mentioned. There's a manufacturing and research development site in Enniscorthy. We have a research centre here in Blackrock and Dublin as well. And also we've a high volume production site as part of our medical diagnostic solutions business in Drogheda. So quite a presence in Ireland, and also the technologies and talent that we use at every site is different. So it's really diverse, and it's we think about minimally invasive devices that we might produce in the site in Enniscorthy and Wexford. You could be producing 10-fold or 20-fold that in terms of volume production in Drogheda, right? So from the manufacturing processes, it might be manual assembly to high volume automation and the different technologies and approaches we use there, but also opportunities to work together. And Drogheda and BlackRock is a research centre here in Dublin that's focusing on a flagship product that will really potentially change how we think about healthcare and the administration of drugs. So there's a lot of really cool things going on in country. I think back to Research Centre Ireland and Limerick, we are fortunate to have access to a lot of different technologies as well, because we're supporting the majority of BD business units. So, across life sciences and engineering, electronic engineering, for example, or embedded software, just we've a really diverse talent pool in country, and it's fantastic.
And then also just coming back to RCI in Limerick as well, it's becoming quite a vibrant kind of region in Ireland. Would that be fair to say?
Limerick?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something really happening over in the west. It's something else. The amount of companies that are setting up there and expanding, the amount of different initiatives going on. I mean, the Limerick Chamber are very active, and they're really fantastic partners in supporting and attracting talent, and also bringing challenges to light too, right, in the region. But yeah, Limerick is really booming, and it's expanding. You drive around Dublin and you see the amount of cranes going up in the sky here, and Limerick is the same. There's growth everywhere you look. It brings some challenges, right? So like every town and city in Ireland, there are some practical things that there's a lot of companies looking to invest in Ireland, but the onset of housing and different things is a challenge, and we hear about this in the region. So we've quite vibrant cities like Limerick that are trying their best to attract in talent and are doing so, but then there's also some challenges in terms of making sure we got the support structures to bring them on. So yeah, but it's a pretty cool region. We've a lot of diverse medical and pharma companies over in the west, and it's really, in terms of attracting talent to Ireland, retaining talent, and providing for a wealth of opportunities for people, it's something else.
Yeah, and those kind of clusters are important, aren't they? When you're looking for a talent pool, you don't, it's not just about one company.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love to hear it. And you touched on it there. Our partners on this series are IDA Ireland. Tell me a little bit about, I suppose, how they've supported you in your work here in Ireland.
They've been fantastic. I mean, the work that the IDA does across multi industries in Ireland is something else, and it's not just providing incentives, it's opening your mind to, like I said, with the universities, what's going on, what aren't you accessing. So they're really fantastic partners in that regard. BD in particular, in Ireland as a whole, we've been very fortunate to be supported across the gambit of what they offer, right, from sustainability grant incentives to digitalization to multiple different research and development projects, as well as focusing on innovation and training and development for our people. So we've had the full gambit of support. Like I said, it's really kind of, when we start working with them on various different opportunities, they're opening our eyes up to other institutions and universities that we can collaborate with, and that's really helping us to think about AI, for example, and digitalization. We work with we collaborate with certain institutions fostered by the IDA, and are really dipping our toes into what data we can generate for our equipment and for our devices, and how we can use that to change, like I said, treatment algorithms or service models. And it's through the IDA that they've really shown us the way, right? So we've really been a beneficiary of their support. It's been great.
Fantastic. And I suppose, if we're to look to the future, when it comes to sort of that medtech side of things, the big trends that we're going to see in the future, or big challenges, whichever?
I think we probably touched on some of them in terms of artificial intelligence, like you said, its place, sustainability, our products, that have the right carbon footprint, that have been used in sustainable methodologies. So I think it's probably some version of those. Obviously, cybersecurity we talked about, but like I said, the customers' demands have changed, right? So our customers are clinicians and our patients, but also bringing products and technologies to them to meet their needs. It's not something that you're looking at in the future. It's here and now. It's just trying to keep abreast of those challenges and make sure that you're at least meeting the standard, if not trying to lead in those fields. So I'm not sure if there's other trends outside of those, really. Of course there are. I'm probably not touching on them here, but if I think about those areas, it's making sure that we're at the table. Expectations have shifted. When you're going to an institution that changes overnight what they want you to provide here and now, development cycles take time, right? So it's trying not to be caught there and to keep ahead of it. So yeah.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Sean Wall, that was absolutely fascinating, and it's great to hear a little bit more about BD in Ireland. So thank you very much for being here in the studio with us today. Thanks a million.
Cheers.